Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday and welcome to the show. Andrew and Austin here with Stock Talk, and today we're speaking with President and CEO Paul Cowley from First Vanadium, and we're going to be talking about gold. Now, I know you were thinking I was going to say vanadium, but we're mainly going to be focused on gold because there's quite a story here since we last spoke just over a year and a bit ago at PDAC. We're really looking forward to hearing what you have to say because there's been, like I said, a lot of developments. Happy to have you on. How have things been?
Fantastic, Andrew. Thank you very much. And Austin, thank you very much for having me on. We've got a really exciting last year, and the next year in front of us, I think, is going to be a super growth year for us.
Yeah, let's just jump right off and just, if we could pull up, let's just start off strong and start to look at this chart and capital structure of the company. And, in the last year, the amount of work that you've done and proven up, and we could, if you go through the news releases, you'll see when we were speaking, it was like around 20 cents, 22 cents, and you're sitting up at 70 cents. There's a lot of news in there, but it's such a great example of someone to see when a management team is able to deliver, they attract the right people, and they get the attention of the people in this space. This is what a great chart looks like. And then, of course, ending with, at this point, fully funded, $6 million raise, ready to go and hit some targets that you've really identified, and being able to convince people compellingly of the attractiveness of these areas that you found.
Absolutely, yeah. So I should introduce ourselves in that we are as First Vanadium, we are exploring for gold, vanadium, and copper in Arizona, mostly in Nevada though, and we've got all of our properties are in mega deposit trends, which is important. One of our properties is the Carlin Vanadium gold property that's got this largest, highest grade vanadium resource in North America. It's got a in situ value of over $3 billion. But what's really interesting now, because we've pivoted to gold, we've found that there's a gold system underneath that, and it's an evolving one. We've made great progress, and you see from that chart, our share price, since we pivoted to gold in the last 11 months, we've quadrupled in our share price and delivered all the way along, going from a conceptual idea with a great explorer like Dave Mathewson, who's a Carlin gold specialist, and conceptualized this gold target underneath the vanadium resource, to actually, in the first hole, discovering this system. Which is this is remarkable because most, what's interesting, guys, is most explorers that are working in Nevada spend millions of dollars trying to find a system, and we got it in the first hole.
Yeah,
and it's a tribute to Dave, because he's found 6 of these types of deposits in the past, right within 5 to 10 kilometers of our property.
Well, it says that in the bios too. Out of all of this, the executive management and the senior management, people on the board, there's been 10 discoveries with 14 million ounces of gold found. So I always say this: when you have a great project with like-minded people, you attract the same. And as you're saying, Dave Mathewson, you attract the highest quality of people, and then that also attracts the money. It attracts other people. Go, oh wow, well. Because not everyone has the technical expertise that you would have, and to see how things are playing out, so that investors go, wait a second, if they're attracting all of these smart people, then they're, I'm going to use their better judgment. Maybe I should throw some money at this.
That's right. I should mention that we just closed about a month ago. We closed a $6 million raise, so we're fully funded for this year. And some of the people that came into that private placement, it's worth mentioning. Rob McEwen, a great Canadian guy, a very well-known guy, and we've got 4 letter writers that came in personally.
Yes,
investing. We've got Eric Mushinsky, Golden Investment Letter.
Yeah.
Gordon Holmes, Eric Coffin, and Greg McCoach. So all those guys invested personally in it. They saw the potential, and we've known each other for a while, so they trust our work. That we're very real and looking to do the best thing for our shareholders.
Yeah, I want to highlight that as well, because whenever I was looking at you when it was First Vanadium, before even the PEA, was the technical ability of the team was incredible, and everyone would say yes. I mean, these are geologists; they're very technical. They know what they're doing. They know what they're looking at. And then I remember whenever whenever I ran into you at PDAC, and you're like, we're not looking for this gold, but hey, we hit this gold. This can happen, right? This happens in science where people are looking for one thing and they find something else. When you're looking for something and then this pops up, and you're not obviously going to turn away any opportunity to hit some gold, especially in this kind of market.
Well, and especially when this property is right in the Carlin gold trend.
Yes.
So the likelihood is very, very good. The high probabilities, I think, of success is you're tapping right into the Carlin plumbing system, which is a proven. Sorry about that. A proven trend that's produced over 100 million ounces of gold, and there's another 100 million ounces sitting in resources and reserves and potential. So I mean, you're in the right real estate. Geology is very similar to real estate, is that it's location.
Yes, I mean Nevada is such an excellent place.
Yeah, but you got to be in the right part of Nevada too. I mean,
of course, right. Yes. But even just having the infrastructure and the mining readiness and openness, I mean, that's just a bonus. And then, of course, it's a big landmass, of course. But when you find this, and maybe we can go to some of the charts and have you talk a bit about, and not too heavy, because a lot of our followers too are very general. They're very generalist investors. Is when they can sort of visualize, okay, what are you seeing here? And I think when it's very laid out simply, people, and with the images, people can see, oh, I see what you're getting after. This is very interesting.
Yeah, so this particular figure here, you're seeing the southern part of the Carlin trend, and you're seeing the red blobs there are deposits and mines of gold, 9 million ounces of gold kind of spread out there. And they're all following along these lines that have been drawn north-south and northwest trending structures. That's the plumbing system of the Carlin trend, all the way along the 50-mile stretch of it. And we're on a north-south structure, one of those structures. And it's proven, with Dave's idea that, drill to find the right stratigraphy, which we did. We actually found the stratigraphy that hosts the majority of the Carlin deposits up the central and northern part of the Carlin trend. Deposits like Gold Quarry, which is a 40 million ounce gold deposit. So we've got the right rocks at a decent depth, and a system that's developed in and around the right rocks. So this is really quite interesting. We found that with the drilling that we did, this system is so large that we need a way of focusing our drilling. We did 7 holes into it. We got very good. We didn't get a gold intercept, an ore grade gold intercept out of that, but we got everything else that goes along with these deposits.
Yes.
Alteration and sulfides and all that kind of stuff. But we needed a way of focusing our drilling because it's such a big system. And so we ended up doing IP, which is a deep penetrating system from surface that charges the ground, and if there's sulfides in the ground, it bounces back and the geophysicists get a signal. And what you're seeing here is these big orange blobs is a chargeability high, which represents higher pyrite or higher sulfides. And you can see from our drilling, we came really close there. Yeah. But it's big, and this is a root system. We figured that this is the root system, and we can see it from line to line. And this root system is like 3/4 of a kilometer wide, for heaven's sake. That's just the root system.
Yes.
The root system is what we figure is the conduit that brought all of the gold and all the alteration and metals and all that into the system here. And we're on the edge of it. So now that we've got the $6 million in our treasury, we're going to go right into that.
Just go straight into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess then, I mean, all things considered, is that you're going straight into it, get some indication there, and then it would be stepping out to see how wide it goes. Yeah. How deep it goes. Yeah. Because this image is showing about what, 800 meters down?
Yeah. 800 or so, 100. And we've got the IP actually gives us very clean information, all the way deeply penetrating down to about 800 meters from surface. And so this is really cool because this shows side by side one of those IP cross sections.
Yeah.
And then on the right, we see the geology model that Dave has used countless times in finding deposits, where you can see, the rock up on top where the vanadium is, this purple rock, the purple in this figure. So the vanadium is there, but it masks, it doesn't usually host the gold. It's underneath this fault that's called the Roberts Mountains Thrust. But below that are the key stratigraphy we call the Rodeo Creek and the Popovich Formation. These are the same rocks that host the big deposits further uptrend.
Yes.
So the IP chargeability is, our vision is that this is where the high grade system will be coming up and hosting most of the gold. It kind of comes up like a mushroom, up through like a stem of a mushroom, and then blows out into the stratigraphy. So it's like an elongate mushroom, and we're going into the stem now with the drilling.
And now this kind of situation where you've got the vanadium on top of the gold, it's not something that's frequently occurring. It's not something that we see very often. So can you kind of walk us through, is there been anything like this before, or kind of in your experience? Yeah.
Very interesting that you mentioned that, Austin, because the only places that I know of where there's a vanadium resource or high-grade vanadium over top of gold deposit is over top of gold quarry and gold strike. Right. So here we are in the same system where there's mega deposits, and we're sitting here with something that we've been exploring all the last 3 years, the vanadium on surface. It didn't take a chance at finding something underneath in the gold. And now this could, there's so many really, really interesting parallels.
Yes.
In these big systems and what we're seeing so far. That's what's so intriguing. We're on potentially on the edge of, a monster deposit, discovering a monster deposit.
Yes.
Literally. That's
wow. And it's I find so much in mining and geology. It's sleuthing. It's private eye work, basically, where you have to look and see, and look for anything similar that has a type of thing. And when we were talking earlier, and we were saying like, well, I've never heard of a vanadium resource on top of something else. So it was really refreshing. We said it's exceptionally rare, except in this region where I know there are a couple other places. And that's key. That's key, because someone else might look and go, oh, that can't happen. I've looked in Mongolia, I've looked over here, looked over there, but you go, wait, but it has happened in this little region. There's something occurred here, or it appears something occurred here to cause this type of, because there's lots of vanadium, deposits and vanadium in Nevada. There's lots to be found. Not the equivalent of what you guys have, but there is lots of vanadium to be found. So it is a very interesting thesis and model, and I think it makes sense to a lot of people when they see other like-minded ones that have that are of substantial size, that you're sniffing onto something very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Because there is other vanadium deposits in Nevada, but they're like a third of the grade. So there's something in the system here that's unique, and I think it's because the vanadium, which is likely to be originally 250 million year old mineral deposit, but it's been a gold system has welled up in and around it and affected it and concentrated the vanadium at a higher grade. So it's really quite a neat geological idea. It's very, very unique.
Yes.
And as an investing situation, it's great too, because you've got two resources here.
Yes.
And then you could mine them separately, finance them separately, spin one out over the other, sell one. There's enough physical separation. The vanadium is up at surface in the top 80 meters, 100 meters. The gold is at least a couple 100 meters below that. And so there's enough crown pillar there that you could mine the open pit, and somebody could be mining underground at the same time.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really wanted to ask beforehand was, because of this unique situation, can you mine both at the same time? And they're saying, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't even necessarily have to be you guys, but if a big major comes along, a gold major, and says, you guys are onto something, we like it, or if there is a discovery there, they're just going to want the gold. They're not going to want vanadium, but it leaves that you can still mine the vanadium yourself. It doesn't have to be, there's no, it's 300 meters difference between the two. They can both work, no problem. And that optionality for your company is a big deal as well, because you've got vanadium, you've got hopefully gold, you're going to prove that out for the next year. But also, and you reminded me not to forget, there's also a copper play here as well.
Yeah, we've actually had this copper project for about 10 years, and we've been just holding on the back burner while copper prices weren't particularly strong. Now, obviously, at $4.50 a pound, we're dusting it off, and we're looking at our data again, and there's a really, really good look to it. It's only 2 miles away, 2.5 miles away from a past producing mega deposit, 30 million tons of 4.5% copper. And we've got the same stratigraphy, same rock type. We've got there's a cluster of copper around there. Lots of really good signatures. Got an EM conductor that looks very favorable. So because we're doing so much, I would think that the likelihood is that we would spin that out to a separate company, dividend our shareholders, and have that funded and explored separately, just because we can't be doing too much.
Sure.
And different metals, too many different metals at the same time. But
and also, so people don't think, oh, they're all over the map. They're not. I mean, it was started off as vanadium, looking for vanadium. You've got vanadium, you've got a PA, so that's there. The gold has come about, and that's going to be the main focus for the time being. But what you're getting, though, if you look at the company, is you're getting the optionality on a bunch of different plays, which is also interesting to an investor to go, oh, okay, wait a second. We don't know for sure what you're going to do with them, but if it's up for discussion that maybe it gets spun out and this and that, well, that's a very exciting opportunity for people as well. So, and let's take a peek again, just at the because we've talked to a couple of people on here about the management, and really highlight some of the people that you've attracted to this as well, because that's a big thing when I'm looking at any kind of model, as well as when you attract the right people. That's very telling.
We've evolved into a really very almost like a fully integrated mining company in a way, and that's very unusual for a junior company. So we've got people that are geologists who are good explorers with great experience and discoveries, and we've got people that have built mines, and that's a skill set of its own to build a mine. Got an engineer who's built 20 mines in North and South America, and then we've got a mining engineer who's been an operating engineer to a general manager level on a major mine for a major company. So, and then we've got like 5 metallurgists too. Metallurgy, it can be a very tricky thing. And so you want to have really, really intelligent, highly skilled people there. Our vanadium, we tapped into all of the skill sets that we had of those 5 metallurgists as we went through and found the right kind of circuitry that works for about an 80% recovery of our vanadium. Brilliant people. They all have specialties in different aspects of metallurgy. That's not the case, the norm.
No.
It's literally, there's 450 years of senior level experience there. Industry experience. And business people as well, of course. Tukey Angus is a very famous,
very well known,
based businessman, lawyer, successful mining guy, and John Anderson also in the investor relations and money raising. So we've got a really, really good quality team, very reliable. We work really well together. That's important for a team to have really good chemistry. We all respect each other for what we all bring to the table, and we talk frequently as a group. And it's not costing us $1 million either. Having all these people together, we incentivize them with options, and when we need their services, their specialty, they charge on an hourly basis. So it keeps our overhead way down.
Yes, and that's actually one thing I don't harp on enough, and it's one thing that you guys have always exemplified too, is you keep costs down. A lot of times people can raise money and all of a sudden you're seeing G&A go through the roof. That's simply not the case with First Vanadium. When a year ago, 2 years ago, and it's still not the case, is that the money goes into the ground. And that's a big, if you want to find companies that are worth taking a look at, for anyone out there who's interested, is you open up the spreadsheet, you look and see what they're spending and how they're spending it. That's a pretty good indication. And then that also attracts the right people, because smart minds that are really excited about a project, they don't want a ton of cash out the door. They want to go into the ground. So they'll take some optionality themselves. They'll want to take the upside, because if they think they're onto something, that's a way better upside than just a few dollars in your pocket. So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
I shut my office down in February from downtown, and I work from home. My home office there. So I mean, that you want to save on wherever you can and put that money in the ground, as you say. That's where it's going to make a difference for our shareholders, right?
Yes.
We got to.
And once again, you've got 75 million shares out, which is outstanding over the years. You've held that share structure very tight.
That's right. My philosophy is that money is entrusted in us, and that we need to convert that money. We need to invest that money in ourselves in the right decisions, and most obviously in this case in geology, in drilling, that's going to accelerate and add value for our shareholders. That's what it's all about.
I love that kind of mindset too, because it's testing in that, listen, we've got a thesis and I'm very excited by it, and I want to put that money into the ground, rather than some others would be tempted to say, I think we might be onto something. I'd love to spend more on PR and create a story, because at the end of the day, yes, you need to do some PR and whatnot, but it's better to have the money in the ground and get the results, and to be testing a theory, testing a model, and attracting the right people, rather than splashy, and then not as much work. So it's really refreshing to have someone that's really putting it into the ground as well.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah.
Now there was an interesting comment you had made when we were chatting beforehand that I was wondering if I could get you to expand on as well. We were talking about Dave Matheson, and then you said there's 5 main things you need to work in Nevada. What are those 5 things? I'm curious. You piqued my interest.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because you need to have all these 5. This is what Dave explained to me, and I, he's even though I'm 42 years in as a geologist and I'm successful in too. He's my senior and a mentor to me, so he knows Nevada so well. So the five things and you need all 5, otherwise there's not very unlikely for success. You need to have the right rocks. You need to have the right structure. You need to have the system, and you need to have those right rocks at the right depth. And the 5th one is you need to have someone that knows what they're doing in Nevada. And I've come to realize that, and Dave's told me this countless times, is a lot of geologists that will come from other areas thinking that, I can just import my skill set and my exploration skills and successes into Nevada. Nevada is a tough place to explore. It's complicated from a number of ways. And if you don't have the right level of skill sets, it's going to happen.
You're not making it very far, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it highlights how intricate this becomes. And it's one thing that someone could hit some numbers or get lucky on this, and then we see lots of stories where someone hits something and then it develops out that it just kind of peters out. So you can just sometimes hit a good interval or hit that. When you build a real story, you're finding the plumbing. You're like, and that's because I want to kind of, how can we reword this for a generalist to go, what is he meaning by these 5 things? Because yes, there's lots of good rocks out there, but it's finding what hopefully you might have, which is this looks like a tooth with this feeder system. Is if you can identify that kind of an overall system, then it's looking good.
Yeah.
But you've done a lot of great work, and it's been obviously reflected.
Yeah, Dave is. Dave's spearheaded this gold concept. He conceptualized it 20 years ago, and people that had the property then didn't have the money, the capacity to take that kind of that's sizable money to take a crack at something like this.
Yeah.
And we believed in Dave. I've known him for 3 years now, and we get along so well. and yeah, it was so very believable, and getting it in the first hole, this big system, was remarkable. That's what saw our shares go, from the 30 cent to the 60 cent, and then pulling back to the 40 cents and trundling along, and now we're back up. Now that we're financed, and there's a lot of optimism. We're going to be drilling, in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Those are all really, there's a lot of good anticipation that this story is going to evolve into something really neat. And the IP is helping us. We're still doing IP. We thought it would be a short program, but because of what we're seeing, it's giving us some really, really interesting stuff. So we're doing infill lines. That's giving us a real clear picture of this root system and how it comes and goes, and it trends this way and blows out here and there. That's really, really interesting. So we haven't reported much on the IP other than the first 3 lines, but we've done 12 lines now.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Wow. We haven't reported on all of those yet because it's an evolving picture. We want to get right to the very end and say, okay, this is what we see now. How big this system is and how it's, all these variations that we're seeing. So it's going to help us out so much because we can basically say, okay, we're going to go right into there now. Or we've got like this 1.5 kilometer trend that we're going to, put drill holes every 400 meters and see what this is all about.
It's I like hearing that a lot of the work you do now can save a ton of time in the future, and people get all excited like, hey, start drilling, do this. It's like, wait, this is a big system. We need to regroup. Let's take a real look at this, because if you're onto something, of course, no one has patience. I don't have any patience. You want to start going, especially in these kind of markets. But if you can take a step back and go, listen, leave it to us. We'll have news flow. We're going to have some data. But if you're just patient with us, there's a better way, methodical, scientific way that we can go about doing this that'll save us, assuming we get some good results, assume us a lot of pain and struggle down the road.
Very true, Andrew. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, these holes are not cheap.
No.
They're $250,000 per hole. So you want to make sure that you're doing the best possible thing. And every hole you stop and think. You don't just, okay, we're going to do these 10 holes, then, blow the money.
Yeah.
And every hole gives you new information that you say, oh, okay, I thought this, but I didn't get that, or whatever. It's going to steer you into the next thing. It's an iterative step, and we're getting good information, and we're still getting, good information on the IP. So we're going to continue to pursue that avenue. And as you say, yeah, it's honing in and vectoring as quickly as possible because everybody's impatient. Shareholders they want to see the big boom, right? And as fast as possible. But the best way of doing it is leaving in the hands that really have done it before, know how to do it, and give us the time to build everything that we need to make the best shot at it.
Well, I mean, to me, it's been reflected in the share price. You've attracted not only a lot of expertise, which we've talked about, and I'll just remind people, some money with Tukey Angus, with Rob McEwen. We had John Anderson on last week as well, so people will be mildly familiar with him and what he's up to as well in the Yukon. And you're going to have lots of news flow. So I would remind people to just put on the side of your computer. If you're not interested in looking at it right today, remember this story because there's going to be a lot of news coming out. There's a reason why good projects attract good people, attract smart money. I mean, that's really at the end of the day. Austin, is there anything you want to kind of mention or leave off with?
No, just appreciate Paul coming on and being able to enjoy your expertise and something that we don't get to hear a lot about is the actual real data on putting this all together. So it's great to listen to your expertise on that and appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Andrew. It was great to have the time with you guys and your subscribers. And I'm very, very excited about this year.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely have you on again when more data comes out.
Yeah, you bet. That would be wonderful. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Okay.
Enjoy
All the best, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take
Have a
care.
good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.